Am I okay? The answer is not really. I am actually currently looking for a new office space because I need to move because the sound is just really disruptive for my videos. So apologize in advance if you do hear those pipe pops. But for today, let's ignore it. Let's put on some makeup. I went shopping last week. I went to the drugstore. I wanted to get a whole full face of makeup. I feel like it's been a hot minute since I did like a full face of new drugstore makeup. So I wanted to pick up some products that intrigued me, and I have all of them here. They're all very exciting, and I pretty much tried all of them already on my face. So I already have some first impressions for you guys, and I'll be able to give you kind of like a mini review. So this isn't just going to be like a first impressions. Actually, it's not a first impressions. It's more of like new things that I got at the drugstore, and here's my little review of them. Anyways, it's going to be fun. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. And let's just get into it and let's start putting makeup on. So before I even get into anything, I do want to kind of prep my skin just slightly. I did already moisturize, so my skin is feeling good, but it's been extra dry and finicky lately. So I am going to put just a little bit of my Youth to the People Adaptogen Soothe and Hydrate Activated Mist. This is one of my favorite hydrating mists to use when it does get a little bit colder outside. I don't really use this in the summertime. I mainly just use it like in the cold months, and I'm finally taking this back out of my collection, and it's just so good. I really breathed a lot of that in. So let's start off first with the base. I'm actually most excited about this foundation because, spoiler alert, I really, really enjoy it. I wouldn't say this is an exact dupe, but I find that it's kind of somewhat similar, kind of close, same idea, similar idea, I should say, as the Fenty Eavesdrop foundation, but obviously drugstore. This is the L'Oreal True Match Nude Hyaluronic Tinted Serum Skin Tint. I was so excited to see that there was a new skin tint available at the drugstore. I do feel that skin tints are kind of lacking at the drugstore. I do wish that they had more options, and L'Oreal just came out with this one, and this seemed extra interesting to me because there's hyaluronic acid in here. As you guys know, very dry skin. Anything that's supposed to have hyaluronic acid or be like extra hydrating or have some type of like skincare benefit to it, I'm always like very into. So this looked really awesome, and it actually performed very differently than I expected. I really thought that this would be very sheer, and I thought that it would have a very like dewy finish to it. And this is not sheer. It has a solid, I would say, medium coverage, and it is not really like dewy. I would say it's definitely more of like a soft matte finish, very similar to the Fenty Eavesdrop, which is why I feel like they're kind of in the same, like, at least category of skin tints. So I've only worn it one time, but that one time that I wore it for a long period, and I really liked the way that it looked for the duration of the wear. So I'm going to be using the shade 2-3 Light Pale. It's like 2-3 Light Pale. It's a little bit of a confusing name, but that's what it looks like. This actually matches me pretty perfectly. Totally guessed my shade and I got it right. So just got to congratulate myself on that. It's a dropper dispenser, which I don't love because look at how messy it already is. Like it's already literally a complete disaster, and I've used this once, but that's okay. We're going to ignore that for now. I'm just going to put about that much on the back of my hand, and that will be enough to cover my entire face. To apply, I'm going to take some new brushes that I just got. These are from Lunar Beauty, and they look so beautiful. I really, really wanted to use it. And this brush, it's like such a nice foundation brush. This is called the LBF2. I'm going to just take it, dip it directly in. Start to first like pat it all over, and then just buff it. Now, the one thing that kind of turned me off about this product that got me a little bit concerned is like when I first apply it, it kind of smells very slightly like alcohol. It dissipates pretty quickly, but it does make me a little bit nervous because if I smell alcohol, typically there is alcohol included in the foundation. I am going to double check that ingredient list though, just to see. And that isn't great, especially if you do have more of like a sensitive skin type, which I do. And especially if you have a dry skin type, it's just not ideal. Let's actually look that up before I make any crazy claims and just make things up. So there's alcohol denat right near the top of the ingredient list. So there is alcohol in here. Even though this has hyaluronic acid in it, the alcohol may still actually dry out your skin, which is just unfortunate because I do really love the way this looks. But because of that, I don't really know if this is going to be a foundation that I'm going to go to super often because I don't want it to dry out my skin in the long run, you know? And I need to be really careful with that, especially during this time of year. So now that the foundation's been applied, let's put on the concealer. And this one is the L'Oreal True Match eye cream in a concealer with, again, 0.5% pure hyaluronic acid. And I got the shade N12 Fair. This is a product that I was like, ooh, eye cream in a concealer kind of reminds me of the Kosas concealer, because the Kosas concealer I always say is kind of like an eye cream in a concealer had a baby. It has great skincare benefits in it, and it also kind of looks like skincare underneath the eyes mixed with concealer. Like, it gives a nice skincare like glow underneath the eyes, which I really love. So I was like, ooh, is this going to be a dupe for the Kosas? And I'm going to let you guys know right away, it's not. The texture is completely different. This is definitely more of like a thinner texture. It almost feels watery when you touch it, which is super odd. And the Kosas one is way creamier. So texture wise, not the same at all. So I'm going to put just a little bit on the back of my hand. I'm going to apply with my finger. Like I said, this is interesting because it does have a super lightweight consistency, but it has really nice coverage to it as well. So you're not really sacrificing the coverage with that lighter weight consistency, which I do really like. But it's just not what I expected. Like, I really thought that this would be a thicker, creamier texture, but I actually really love the way that this looks underneath the eyes. Because it's such a thin texture, it just looks very, again, natural looking. It doesn't look heavy, and it just looks nice and hydrating underneath the eyes. I think this is one of the more interesting concealers from the drugstore that I've tried. Like, it really doesn't feel like anything else that I've tried because that texture is somewhat unique. Now let's move on to bronzer. This is a very interesting new product from Revlon. This is the Skin Lights Prismatic Bronzer in the shade 115 Sunkissed Beam. I keep comparing all these products to like other products, but it's kind of like the best way for me to be able to describe to you what the product is actually like. And immediately when I saw this, it reminded me of this product from NARS that I so happen to have right next to me. This is the NARS Summer Solstice Cheek Duo. It's a highlighting powder and bronzing powder like in one. But I mean, just like visually, don't these look very similar? This is interesting because it's essentially like a glowy bronzer. So you can see it has a really pretty glow to it, but there's no like visible shimmer in here. And it's quite like a hard pan. Like, it's not like a very smooth and pigmented powder. So when you put your hand in it, like, there's literally zero powder kickback, but you do still get some nice pigment from it. And because it is a little bit of like a harder formula in that way, and it doesn't have like a ton of pigment, it goes on the skin in a very sheer way. Honestly, feels so similar to this NARS one over here. Is this a dupe video? The NARS one is a little bit smoother, and I kind of feel like more pigment is picking up on the NARS one. But the idea of this powder, like the little bit of the glow and like the sheerness of it, is very similar to something like this. So just putting that out there. So we are going to apply this with a nice little fluffy brush. This is another one from Lunar Beauty. It's like the dual-ended one. There's actually no number on it. And I'm really gonna like dig into here. I did want to use a white brush specifically because I want you guys to see how little product does get picked up when you do use this. You will either really hate that about this or you'll really like it. Because it's so sheer, you'll get a lot of control with this. So it's really nice, especially if you're like a beginner and you don't really want to go in with something too pigmented that you could accidentally like mess up or over apply. You will not over apply this, like pretty much impossible. And this also obviously gives you a really pretty glow, which I also really enjoy. So when I first applied this, like the first time that I tried this, I didn't love it. I was like, okay, I think this is a little bit too sheer for me. And I think generally speaking, I do like a bronzer that has a little bit more impact to it, but on days that I'm a little bit more natural, which is on most days, let's be real, and on days that I want a little bit more of a glow to my bronzer, it's actually kind of a beautiful product. I mean, it still gives me really nice color, and look at the nice glow that it just added to my skin. Especially from the drugstore, it's really hard to find glowy products that don't have shimmer in them, and this doesn't have shimmer, which is great. And I will say, I wish that they did have deeper shades in here because this will not suit every single skin tone. Like, this is just deep enough for my skin tone, and I really do wish that they came out with even deeper shades. And the shade, by the way, like the shade itself for my skin tone, is a really nice bronzer shade. It's warm without being like too warm or like muddy. Okay, so we're bronzed. Let's put on some blush. It's from Burt's Bees and they're the Color Nurture Cream Blush. And this one is 1275 Strawberry Cream. I love that name. I just remembered that I have used this before. I don't know why I completely blocked it out. And I've already made the comparison that I'm about to make because I was going to say that these are like the most similar blush that I've tried from the drugstore to the NARS Air Matte blushes, which you guys know that I love. Those are really beautiful matte cream blushes. Matte cream blushes aren't as common to come by. Most cream blushes are more on like the dewy side. I don't really have like a major preference between a glowier cream or a matte cream. It just depends on like my mood, but this is a really beautiful one. I'm gonna take it on my finger. I do find that these apply best with the finger. And I'm not really tapping it. I'm kind of like swiping like this. I'm doing like flicking motions on my cheeks to apply it. And that's just going to apply and blend it at the same time. And look at how pretty that color is. I find that it's like such a nice flushed color. And by the way, these smell amazing. They kind of have like a fruity scent to them. And it's also pretty sheer. So it's not like hard to work with, I find. But it's a really pretty blush. I do really like this a lot. So you may be thinking to yourself, Jamie, all of these reviews are so positive. That's so great. Yeah, they were up until I tried this product. This is one of the products that I really was not a fan of that I had tried. It's another one of the Revlon Skin Lights product, but this is a highlighter in Daybreak Glimmer. And this looked very appealing to me because similar to the bronzer, it doesn't really have any shimmer to it. It's just kind of like pure glow, albeit very, very intense glow. I mean, like, look at that. It's reflective. I found that this kind of just created like a stripe on my cheekbones no matter how I blended it out. I just found that it looked not very flattering, just really not my favorite type of highlighter at all. So not really a fan of it, but I am going to apply it just so you guys can see what it looks like. But yeah, just wanted to let you know, just in case you were interested in this, this does not really have my stamp of approval. Whoa. It's definitely incredibly intense. I mean, look at how insanely glowy that just made my cheeks. But the problem that I have with this is that it's very hard for this to kind of like melt and blend to the skin, which is how I want my highlighter to be. I think a couple years ago, I probably would have liked this, but my taste in highlighters have changed quite a bit over the years. And I really do prefer highlighters that really melt into the skin and look like one with the skin and don't look like they're sitting on top of it. This looks very obvious. Like it looks like I'm wearing highlighter and that's just not my jam. To really make this blend, I kind of have to go over it with my foundation brush to like really mesh it into the skin. But even then, it's just not ideal for me. Let's talk brow products because I have two brow products here that I thought were very fun and exciting. They're actually both from NYX. I have the Dip Shape and Go Longwear Brow Pomade and then the NYX The Brow Glue. This brow glue is literally glue. It is so intense, you guys. It's so glue-like. Like it's just wild. If you want something to literally glue your brows down in any which way you want, this stuff is the real deal. Like it does not move. But first, let me talk about this one. So I'm not even sure if this is like a totally new product. I've never seen it before, but I thought that this product was very interesting and kind of unique. Like I hadn't really seen a pomade done in this way before. So essentially it's this little stick. On one side, you have a little pot here with the pomade inside of it. And then on the other side, you twist it off and you have a little brush. The brush is a small little angled brush. Honestly, it's not bad. It's not the worst brush in the world, but it's really not my favorite. I found that I wasn't really able to make very precise hair-like strokes with this. It was a little bit too thick on the end over here for me to be able to, I don't know, make my brows look a little bit more defined without being too blocky, because pomade, if you didn't know, it can be really tricky. It can make your brows very bold and very intense if you're not careful, because it's just like a very intense type of brow product. So with that being said, I am going to use another angled brush that's a little bit more precise, which kind of defeats the purpose of this product, because what makes this product nice is that it's a bit of an all-in-one. So you don't have to have an extra brush with you. So especially if you're on the go, this could be something interesting to check out. But just for the sake of like a good application, I just can't use this brush. It's just not my fave. It's too thick. It's too thick. Instead, I'm going to be using this guy from ColourPop. It's the E30. And you basically want to dip the brush into the pot here. And I made the mistake the first time I used this of dipping my brush fully into this. Don't do that because you'll get way too much product on there. You really just want to like lightly graze the sides of the pot to pick up enough product. I'm just going to go ahead and start to fill it in. With a pomade, I always like to start where I want the most color, so that's like in the center part of my brow. Overall, I think the concept of this product is interesting, but I think it really is only worth it if you think you're gonna be using the brush that it comes with. Otherwise, like I would just get another type of pomade because you don't really get a ton of product in this little pot. So if you're not gonna be using the brush that comes with it, it's not worth it. This does also have a spoolie on the brush side. You just kind of have to twist it off, and it's a clean spoolie that you're supposed to use to brush through your brows to blend out the pomade, which is nice. So like I said, it really is an all-in-one, but I just wish the brush that it came with was just a little bit thinner so I could be more precise. My brows are filled in. Now I'm gonna go in with the gel. As soon as you start brushing it through and you go over the same spot twice, you can kind of feel like the stickiness right away. Like you see how straight up I'm able to get my brow hairs to stand? You like a very fluffy brow that like kind of lays flat, you would probably really like this brow gel. Like she is laid down. So for the eyes, I didn't purchase anything new, but I actually want to pull out an older product that I've had in my collection for a while that I remember really enjoying, but I haven't used it in a bit. And so I kind of wanted to give myself just a little bit of a refresher. This is the Maybelline Wonder Cloud All Day Wear Soft Shadow. And again, the cream shadow options of the drugstore, there's not that many, but these guys from Maybelline are really, really good. So if you are looking for a good cream shadow, these guys are great. From what I remember, it's a really nice, very easy to wear, very easy to apply cream shadow, not finicky at all. So let's apply. This one is in the shade Foggy Beige, which is a really nice cool toned brown. And it's a little doe foot applicator, and you basically just want to swipe it all over the lid. It's one of those like shadows that you really don't have to be like super careful about. You could kind of just haphazardly apply it just because they are so easy to use. And before it sets down, I just take a fluffy brush and just blend out the edge like how I would do with any other cream shadow. That took 3 seconds, and you have a nice one color, I don't want to say it's smoky eye because it's not a smoky eye, but an eyeshadow look. Now you could totally leave it at this, but to spruce up the eye a little bit, I'm actually going to go back in with the highlighter because I think moving forward, I'm probably only going to use this as an eyeshadow, which is typically what I do for the highlighters that I don't find work on my cheekbones because they always work beautifully on the eyes. And then with a clean finger, just blending along the edge, and that just adds like a really, really nice, very subtle pop. And I actually love that as little eye topper. So there you go. Even if you have a highlighter where you feel like it just doesn't work for you, you can still use it just as an eyeshadow. It'll probably take you years to go through the entire thing, but at least it won't go to waste. Now I'm gonna go in with my mascara. This also isn't a new product, but it's just one that I haven't really taken out of my collection in a while, and I kind of wanted to refresh my mind of whether or not I liked it or not because I truly just do not remember. It's the Maybelline Lash Sensational Sky High. It's a very, very flexible wand. Honestly, I hate wands like this because I find that they're really difficult to control and to get volume with. I feel like you need kind of like a stiffer wand to really like get in there. I'm just gonna go ahead and start applying and see what happens here. Okay, that's what that looks like. I'm not a huge fan. I feel like that actually made my lashes look very clumpy. I think when I initially tried this, I also wasn't a big fan, and I'm still not. I feel like it just made my lashes look very spidery and clumpy. So now for the lip, we have a new one from Maybelline. This is the Maybelline Ultimate, what are you? Color Sensational Matte Lipstick, and this one is in the shade 799 More Taupe. This color really looked so pretty. This is kind of like my go-to type of color for this time of year. It's almost like a bricky nude. Has those really nice warm undertones. So I'm going to just first quickly line my lips. Ooh. Honestly, guys, Maybelline lip products very rarely do me wrong. I love that. What a stunning color. Holy shit. I was worried that this would be a little bit drying since it is like a matte sensational formula, and some of their matte sensational formulas are a little bit drying, but this feels more like a creamier matte. Like it has a slip to it, which is really nice. Like it doesn't feel like it's going to completely like set down to the point where it's going to suck all the life out of my lips. It feels like it's just going to stay nice and creamy. Maybe I'll put another gloss on top. This guy right here is actually one of my favorites from the Maybelline Lifter line. It is the shade Crystal, and it looks very intense and gold in the little tube thing, but it instead just translate as being just pretty and sparkly on the lips. And it's really perfect when you don't want to like change the lip color too much and you just want to add sparkle and shine, especially on top of a nude. It's one of my favorites. Like, come on. That just took it to a whole nother level. I'm sorry. Wow. Get this combo? It's beautiful. So guys, that's it for today's drugstore makeup try on. I hope that you enjoyed it. Don't forget to let me know all of your thoughts in the comments. And of course, hit the thumbs up button if you did enjoy today's video, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already and want to join the fam. And that is it. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.